Greetings, all new Hammer, Middle Hammer, and Old Hammer folks. I am OldGrumpyWolf, and welcome to the Mini Bar Podcast. I'll be serving you up lots of awesome painting nerdiness, talking to other painters from around the web. But before we get started, I want to plug thebaselayer.com. Thebaselayer.com is a miniature painting social media website. There are no weird ads from Temu's. There's no pictures of other people's babies. There is no strange, odd, weird stuff showing how awesome other people's lives are versus yours. There are just miniatures all the time. So, go check out thebaselayer.com, upload some miniatures, share your minis, interact, leave comments, and they finally have their notification system up now. So, mind you, I'm filming this in the end of February. When it comes out, this will probably be sometime in June. But yeah, go check out thebaselayer.com and sign up. But to get started with the show, we have one of my favorite YouTubers out there, period, who I've been watching him for a couple of years now. Actually, I think like 3 years now. He does really great. He's done some really cool Old Hammer painting tutorials. He does really, really awesome battle reports. It's literally like a video form of what you used to read in 1990s White Dwarf. I want to welcome to the show, if I can find the frickin' button, EdPaintsMinis. Welcome to the show, Ed.
Hi, Lennon. Pleasure to be here. Wow, that was very flattering.
As I was saying before we started recording, I've really enjoyed your videos a lot that you've made up over the years. Like seeing what you were doing with your painting tutorials, especially we'll talk about it when we get more into the show, your old Sneaky Beaky tutorial with, it was a Salamander, Blood Angel, and Ultramarine. I love that one. Your video, the one that really, it was a recent video you did. The one that really hit the nail on the head for me was, the Tyrannid attack video.
Oh, yes.
That was both of those, like the painting and the gaming videos, were a lot of fun to watch. But before we get too far into it, where in the world are you?
I'm in Bristol in the UK.
Oh, okay.
So that's southwest UK.
Have you been there your whole life, or did you move there?
No, I grew up kind of in the Midlands, and then I went to Germany for 3 or 4 years.
Oh, nice.
When I was very small, and because my dad worked for a German car company out there.
Oh, okay.
So I did kindergarten out there, and that was my first exposure, probably at the age of 6 years old, to miniatures, because I think they were very into it, model shops and things in Germany.
Well, let's dive right into, since you just mentioned that, and you kind of want to expand on that. What got you into the hobby of miniature painting?
Well, my dad had lots of Airfix models and Tamiya and Dragon kits and the magazines that came with them as well. And I used to just pour through those catalogs when they never actually had, in those days, pictures of the actual model kit on the front. They always had fantastic illustrations, usually of the aircraft or tank kind of in combat or whatever it was. And I always found those endlessly fascinating. And my dad used to take me to model shops. We used to build model kits together. And it was in a model shop in Munich when I was first sort of exposed to not just all these drab tanks and airplanes and biplanes and things, but a little box of Devastators. So these really colorful looking Marines. And I'm guessing that maybe it was at the bridge point between Rogue Trader and second edition, because it was a black box and the Marines were sort of in situ, and it was some Ultramarines. But yeah,
that was right when second edition was debuting.
Yeah, and that really stuck with me. My brother actually ended up getting that kit. We still have some of those models somewhere, and obviously the impression was clear that it had made on us. And he got that kit for Christmas, and I got the second edition box set. And I think the idea was that we would split it and play with it and all that kind of thing. And I must have got 5 or 6 years out of that thing.
Oh, nice.
It was just endlessly fascinating.
I could just picture
every single part of it.
I could just picture the arguments right now. I want to be Space Marines. No, I want to be Space Marines.
No, well, fortunately for me, he kind of let it go really quickly.
Oh, really?
He never sort of chided me for being really into it. But he proved himself to be a really good painter early on. He was way better than me, and I think he just kind of applied himself to it, boshed out some amazing models with very little practice. I've still got his Marnius Calgar somewhere, and still got his the Ultramarine Captain, the Jess Goodwin sculpt with the kind of Roman head crest pointing the sword out at a 90-degree angle.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he did a fantastic job on those because he wasn't highlighting and he wasn't washing. And so when you're not doing that, when you're only applying the single color, that is so illustrative of your brush control and whether or not you can paint between the lines. And to this day, I'm not really very good at that. But the wash, the highlights, you know, when you throw all these techniques on it hides a multitude of sins. But him as a 10-year-old, like, those miniatures still hold up. They still look really good. So yeah, I went into my mum's attic a few weeks ago, and specifically to dig them out. And I found them and took a few snaps and sent them over to him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, remember that."
That really is I'd be curious to see
previous life to him. Sorry, then.
That's it. Yeah, I'm curious to see him. You have to send them over after the show.
Yeah, they look great. They look really good. He made a paper bunker, and he made some
nice.
It was a great bit of artifice, and they're on a plinth. Yeah, wonderful stuff. Really good. I mean, now that I do this all the time, and that I'm really into it, but you know, he was the one with the real talent, I have to say. Yeah, there we go.
Honestly,
shout out to my brother,
I think you need to give yourself a little more credit. You're actually kind of a good painter. Okay, I really like the style and the stuff that you do. Like, you're give yourself a little bit more credit than you do, please.
Well, thank you. I mean, I think one of the reasons why second edition lent itself to the channel and to, I mean, there are many reasons why I wanted to explore second edition. But it was, part of it was that you can't really compete with a lot of the stuff that's out there at the moment. But what I knew that I could do is that I could outdo my previous efforts that I made decades ago. So it was really about achieving the aspirations of my 11-year-old self, and kind of showing this very pretentious expression, but the child is the father to the man. It's like the idea of all the things that you wanted when you're a kid, when you grow up, you still hold on to all of those ideas and those aspirations. It's probably why, like, a lot of middle-aged men buy sports cars, and they can finally have all the things that they aspired to have when they were little.
I was sitting and painting the other night, and I was thinking, like, wow, my midlife crisis is getting back to 40K again.
Yeah, I think a lot about nostalgia and a lot about 40K. And I always steer away from conversations which veer towards it was better when back then, yada, 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 and then come out with a multitude of reasons why you're not playing current 40K and why you're not painting current 40K miniatures and all that kind of thing. I always stay really, really far away from that, because no question, if I was 11 years old now, looking at the stuff that was coming out at Games Workshop, 30 years from now, I would have exactly the same relationship and love for it. Rather, you know, I don't think there's any point in trying to pick holes in what they're doing now to try and justify why you're scouring the internet and you've decided to pour a significant amount of your time and money and effort into miniatures that are 30 years plus old.
Well, it's, you know, it's interesting to me, like you brought up a good point, in that, you know, looking back in the past through, you know, rose-colored glasses, but then again, we lived it, so it's not really rose-colored glasses, rose-tinted glasses. But I have found myself thinking about, like, I genuinely wonder if, you know, the kids who are getting into it now, like we did in the 90s, if they're going to have the same nostalgia view that we have, also, like, you know, getting back into it in their late 30s, early 40s. You know, is it going to be the same thing for them, because the generations, sociologically wise, are so different now, you know, to when we were younger, and when we were young. No, I've been listening to a lot of you, like, when I paint, I put on, like, just tons and tons and tons of video essays ranging all kinds of different topics. I really like the whole, like, alien alien conspiracy kind of theory stuff. Like, I don't know if you've ever listened to him, but the Y-Files, I adore that show, especially Hecklefish. But
I thought you were going to say Alien Theory. Have you listened to any of that?
Yes,
great
yes,
YouTube
yes.
channel. Yeah,
I find some of his he gets a little drab sometimes.
it's so miserable and bleak.
A lot of the stuff he brings up, like comic book wise and whatnot, I already have the comics, and I got into those when I was a kid, like right around the time of 40K. But it's a little dry and drab sometimes. I just need like a 45-minute video about like 2 comic books. I'm like, I need something else.
Yeah, he's great because he puts on the voice and he sounds like a Wayland Yutani out of the Alien franchise.
I got into with the big Aliens universe guy that I got into for a while was Mr. H with his deep voice. I'm judging by the look on your face. You never heard of him. He's a British guy, and like he's got like this really deep, really good speaking voice when he does his voiceovers, and I just really like his style of speaking in his videos. But yeah, Alien Theory is not bad. It just gets a little dry sometimes.
Yeah,
I'm assuming you're into the Aliens universe too.
I mean I'm into it because I'm terrified of it. I really regretted watching Aliens when I was 9 years old. It just completely freaked me out.
Well, when I was a kid and I saw it, the first one scared the hell out of me. The second one, Aliens, the sequel, I loved it because it was like, obviously it's where Space Hulk came from, but pulse rifles, flamethrowers, the Marines. I thought Aliens was great.
Yeah. I mean, I loved it, but it terrified me at the same time. And it felt good to see those aliens get their comeuppance at the end. I felt like I could go away from that without being terrified. Whereas Alien is a much more kind of open. The psychological damage has been done at the end of it. It's already ruined everyone's day. It's terrible.
I remember getting when I was a kid, and I got that. I got my copy of with my introduction with 40K. I've talked about this on the show numerous times. Was in a comic book trade by accident. I got a copy of the original Space Marine Code rule book and the original Adeptus Titanicus rule book, and I remember when I saw Space Marine on the cover, I was, oh my God, it's going to be like Aliens. And I'm looking through it, and I'm like, these aren't Space Marines from Aliens. But I was completely mystified by it because it was just, so different than anything I'd ever seen.
Oh, weird. What were they doing sort of out of the box, just loose in a comic book shop?
No, it was actually a friend of mine from a junior high school. I can't remember his name for the life of me. Some kid I traded a bunch of comics with. One day at lunch in the lunchroom. And it don't know, it was like 10 or 12 comic books. And I thought I got like 2 graphic novels. I gave him a graphic novel, and I thought the rule books were graphic novels. Nope, turns out they were rule books, and I had no comprehension that they were rule books. But I saw the painted miniatures and the hand drawn artwork, and I was just totally blown away and amazed. And well, I mean, talking earlier subject, we're talking 35, 40 years ago, and 35. How old am I? Yeah, it would have been 35 years ago for me. Jesus. But yeah, here we are 35 years later, and on a podcast going on about, reliving our youth.
Yeah, I mean, so I think it's positive. Nostalgia is positive, I think, if you are doing it to be kind to yourself and you're kind of honoring the past, that you're not kind of burying your head in the sand, that you're not doing it as a criticism of the current thing. Mm-hmm. The way I square it, because sometimes I get a lot of comments and videos, and to be fair, like YouTube is actually quite a nice space. Mm-hmm. I like YouTube in terms of the social media aspect of things, because you can really, if you're a creator, you can curate your audience. So if you stick to the thing and you keep doing that thing and you keep your style consistent, and if you happen to really enjoy and be sincere in that thing, which I hope I do, which is partly why I enjoy doing it so much, then you will naturally draw people who kind of belong in that space with you and want to share it with you and want to feedback. But if ever anything fairly negative is ever said, it's always directed towards the current state of the hobby. It's always, when things used to be this, and this represents the turning point when GW really sunk their battleship. It's that sort of stuff. And I kind of see why people say that and think that. But it's much easier, rather than trying to quantify or work out why you don't like the thing anymore. It's better, I think, sometimes to just say it's different.
Mm-hmm.
It's just different. Like, it's not a case of it going wrong at some point. It just happens to no longer be something which resonates with you.
Yeah,
and that's totally cool.
We were referencing, getting into our midlife crisis and getting back into 40K again. Like, one thing I was going to say was, most men go out, they try to look young again. They go buy a sports car and whatnot. Like, I've been building, you guys have them as the Nissan 200 SX. We have them as the Nissan 240 SX. But I've been building Nissan S chassis for since 2002. There we go. And, I built a whole brand around making body kits, suspension, and apparel for those things, and it's turned into kind of a career for me. That's what I do outside of Old Grumpy Wolf. But where was I going with this? Getting into the nostalgia. Oh, there we go. My gal's son, like, him and I get along really well, and he's starting to get into cars. He's 17, going on 18 this June. And, he's really into modern cars. And to me, and this goes with 40K as well. To me, cars have changed so much since, like the 90s Japanese cars that I grew up loving and that I still kind of love. Things have just changed too much for me to really appreciate anything new, because body design styling is different, engine design is different, the way turbochargers are integrated is completely different, tuning the car is completely different. It's not, it's still the same thing, but it's not. So likening this to 40K, I'm not really a fan of Primaris. I've never been since they came out. I'm glad to see Games Workshop starting to add some variation to the Primaris armor. But the original Intercessor models that came out and kind of the first couple of years of them, I just didn't like them. The flare above the knee pad was stupid. I don't like all the extra detail on the armor. I hate the helmet. I think it looks too riot gear, like SWAT riot gear looking. But they're starting to add variation. Like, you've got like the Blood Angels, where they have, they've kind of gotten back more toward the muscular armor again, kind of like what Tycho started with and Dante. You've got the Space Wolves that just came out, where they're bringing sneaky beaky helmets back. They're bringing Mark 7 helmets back. They got rid of the stupid flare on the knee pad. They're actually making lower leg pads that look like Mark 6 armor now. So they're adding variation. And it seems like they're kind of coming back into like what us old people like. Because, I think Games Workshop's really realizing that, like, okay, a lot of our core audience from the 90s and the 2000s are really getting back into the hobby, and they've got adult money to spend now. So, like, let's get more inclusive with them. But going into what you were touching on, I wanted to actually get into this. Going into what you're touching on with YouTube, there was actually an episode of the Y-Files podcast I was listening to. It was the first one they did. The guy who runs it, he brought his wife on, and they were just having a good conversation with each other and making inside jokes with each other. But he was talking about getting the show going and also being on YouTube. And his wife said, I think that he's like, I stay away from the comments sometimes because it gets really depressing. They're really harsh. And his wife said, I think there's two sides to YouTube comments. There's there's only two types of people that comment: the really positive ones and the really negative ones. And then you have, like, hypothetically, his channel, I think, is like 2 million people. So you have 100,000 over here, 100,000 over here, and then 1.8 million in the middle that just never say anything, that really like the show. But going into what you were saying with the comments on YouTube and whatnot, I've been a big, long-time fan of your YouTube channel. I really adore the videos that you make. I don't really read the comments, but I've been an appreciative fan for a long time. For anybody watching, you need to go check out his YouTube channel to get an idea of what we're going to comment on, because it's so much fun to watch Ed's videos. His narration is excellent. His graphics are excellent. Again, as I said, it feels like watching a battle report from the 90s heavy metal staff, or not heavy metal, White Dwarf staff playing a game. So I want to ask you, like, where do you get your inspiration from with your videos? Because your battle reports are so unique and fun.
Wow.
Sorry, that was a long one. My bad.
So the first battle report that I did was simply the idea of playing through the campaign booklet in the second edition box set.
Okay.
So the first batch of videos really were all fixed in that box set. And I'd previously I'd made about 3 videos that I never put on YouTube. And I chose the name Minisodes before I even really knew what it was that I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to do something in that space. I think, like a lot of creative people, they have got it in them, but they don't know where to put it. And I put it in lots of different places over time. And I've always tried to put it, you try and put it somewhere where you're going to get some kind of financial reward or some kind of, you're not just going to be a struggling artist. So my kind of opening gambit in my late teens, early 20s was acting. I went to drama school. I was a struggling
that
actor.
explains it. Okay.
Yeah. I do give some theatre kid vibes occasionally. I've been told my most effusive, but anyway, I did that for about 3 or 4 years, and it was a great experience. But man, that was tough. And then I, like a lot of struggling actors, I kind of threw the towel in. I became a teacher because I had an English lit degree to fall back on, and I didn't really want to do that at the time. But I took my dad's advice, and I love him for it, because it meant that I had a job that I could go to, a steady job to go to. Yeah. So I was a teacher for about 7.5 years, which is an amazing experience. But again, it's that ability to stand up, and it's like, what do I do with my creativity? What do I do with that inside me? And you get to create lessons, and you get to sort of be quite performative in front of kids and get them passionate about something that initially they are really bored of. And that was a lovely experience. But now in my job outside of Minisodes, I do something in operations, which is like the most un-ed thing ever. I'm kind of doing organization, and it's very much out of my comfort zone, and it's great. I'm super appreciative for it, because it's good to do things outside of your comfort zone. And it's a great job, and it's good for kind of personal growth and stuff. But Minisodes is the kind of playground where I get to experiment and kind of unleash that struggling artist. And it's also wonderful because I am the producer, the director, the talent. I get to do all of these things, aided mainly by the wonders of technology. Because if I was doing this 10 years ago, then a lot of the technology wouldn't make it as easy as it is, or as easy as it has been. We were just talking
before you say 10 years ago, dude. 10 years ago was 2016.
Oh man, yeah. But camera phone technology in 10 years is probably exponentially better. We were just talking before we hit record about what we've done on our camera phones on our respective channels, and it's miraculous. I've only so I am now 41 videos in, and it was only at video 40 that I didn't trade it out. The camera phone's just in my pocket now, but I've got a Sony VE10, if anyone cares, which is, I think a bit of a workhorse of a kind of blogging camera. But that's going to be a steep learning curve. And it does make you realize how much work the camera phone is doing for you. So, but at the same time, the amount that I'm going to be able to get out of this new camera is quite exciting to me.
Anyway, before anybody questions
I've massively.
Before anybody questions it, his YouTube channel will be in the box below. You should know where it is.
Okay, there it is. Anyway, I massively deviated off the question. Yes, so
no, go ahead.
Initially, I think tangentially it's related. It's about limitations. So if you tell yourself that this is what you're going to record on, this is your camera, and you've got £100 to spend on a mic and some lights, and then you pick up your 40K box and be like, right, it's going to be about this. You're going to do 5 episodes, and it's just going to be about what's in this box. and you can do what you want with it. Off you go. So initially it was the terrain. And the reason why the first video was about turning the cardstock terrain into foam core terrain was because I was obsessed with the idea of that nothing would be worthy to be on YouTube unless it was something that nobody had ever done before. I'm pretty sure that I'm not the only person that's done that, but I really thought that was an original idea, turning cardstock into chunkified 3D terrain with little photocopied PVA'd on magazine posters of old White Dwarfs.
I like your terrain. I think it's really creative and neat looking.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, one of the greatest, most flattering things ever is there's so many pictures of people playing games of second edition, like all over the internet since the great second edition revival, and the amount of people who've emulated that design from that video is unbelievable. I'm like, that is the contribution that I have made to this community. And that was from the very first video. So that's very cool. Anyway, to go onto your question about the battle report. So that was the natural next step. Now that I've painted all of these miniatures, what do I do with them? Well, I film battle reports.
Yeah.
And I had watched a few battle reports, and I had thought about what I liked about the way people film battle reports and what I didn't like about it. And there are lots of different ways that people do it. So there's this sort of, I think back in the day, and I think mini wargaming still do it, like all power to them, because the people that watch that channel love that style. It's the kind of handy cam thing. This is my army, and it's kind of like the POV of the player. And then there are much bigger budget channels out there that have the overheads and the graphics and the cameras on the presenters, and it's all very presenter focused and that kind of thing. And I suppose, given unlimited budget and time and money and resources, I probably would have gone down that avenue. But you've just got this. So what can you do with this? And naturally, I kind of fell into that. Well, this is going to be like a video essay. And again, as we were saying before we hit record, talking about how important audio is. If you've got great audio, and honestly, at the end of the day, you're just playing with little toy soldiers. It's the blank spaces between all of that that make it what it is. It's the ambience. It's the cumulative effect of the art, of the stories, of the experience of painting those models, of the terrain. It's everything coming together to culminate in that climax, which is putting your miniatures on the table and playing it. And I think it's very, very difficult to convey that feeling and that experience to outsiders, to an audience who haven't gone on that journey with you. Yeah. So if you can turn it into like a little movie, which is narrated, and as you referenced, they do that so well in the old White Dwarfs, particularly, I think the golden age of White Dwarf, again, this is just nostalgic old guy spectacles, but kind of 180 through to like the early 210s. I think that was just peak, that run of White Dwarf, and the editorials and the graphic design, 80 Wood, all that stuff. Like that was my childhood. That stuff was great. And I really do think that pouring through those White Dwarfs and reading those articles and reading those battle reports were a massive sense. I got a massive lift in terms of my narrative voice. Like my literacy is, shame to say it, a lot of my literacy is derived out of reading Games Workshop publication. I mean, that's something
nothing wrong with that, man.
Generation slightly before me, or maybe in parallel, but probably like in the States, would say, oh yeah, I hated reading, and then I got really into D&D and was reading the source books. And as someone who used to be a teacher, I really lament the kind of loss of magazine culture, because
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Because there was a magazine for everyone, so it doesn't matter whether, it doesn't matter if you're into the most obscure thing imaginable. Like at least you're reading.
I think it has to do with the tangibility of it as well. Everything now is, on these stupid things, or, like I live behind a computer. So, we've lost, and it's not just magazines, it's music, it's everything. you like with music now, everything's digital. You don't go to the record store and buy a CD, or you can buy vinyl, but the way it's been for like the last, I don't know, last 15 years is, CDs, physical media has been gotten rid of, phased out. So you don't hold your music anymore. You don't touch your music. You don't have the liner notes. You don't have, all the lyrics printed. You don't have the pictures of the bands. Like when we were growing up, we had no idea what our bands looked like, unless you saw them on MTV or they included a picture in the liner notes. You had no idea what they looked like. So, when you saw these guys, they were kind of larger than life, but you don't have that physical, tangible thing anymore. And the same thing you said with magazines. There's no longer, you're subscribed to White Dwarf, or you're subscribed to Super Street Car magazine. You're anticipating every month, like seeing those pretty printed pictures in that publication of something that you've never discovered, that they went out and discovered, like, oh my God, look at that Supra. Oh wow, look at this new Space Marine. Even in homes and gardens. Oh, look at that pretty flower display. But tangibility of things is just completely lost now due to the evolution, or I want to say de-evolution of everything being digital.
I would say, and I'm not just speaking for myself, I think if you are really into something, you will try and bridge that gap. So if you're really into a band, you'll look up, well, when can I go and see them?
Yeah.
And I think the same is kind of on YouTube as well. I want to try and bridge that gap quickly. I kind of reached a point where I'm meeting people, I'm forming relationships with people. People are reaching out, sending me models.
Yeah.
Who really want to be part of what you're doing. And initially, when I started my Patreon, I was really adamant that I wasn't going to start a Discord. I was like, I don't want anything to do with an audience. Discord. I want to keep them at arm's length. I just want to make my things and throw them out into the void. And actually, I could not be more wrong. Like, I made the Discord because people asked. And also I thought, well, if people are joining a Patreon, then there needs to be something to show for it.
Yeah.
And I was so wrong. The coolest people are on that Discord. So generous, like so kind, like the vibes are absolutely on point. And within 4 or 5 months, I was like, how can I get them together to go to an event? And so next week, we're recording this on the 26th of Feb. So on the 7th and 8th of March, I'm running a really small event in Bristol.
Oh, cool.
That a couple of people are flying to. Like someone's flying out from Germany, there's another someone else flying out from Norway, which is just incredible. It's so flattering. People journeying all over the UK. I suppose they're interested to meet me and play games, but I'm actually just super thrilled to meet them.
Nice.
I'm like, you guys are amazing.
Yeah.
And the things that you contributed and the stuff they've sent me and the ideas they've given me, it's really galvanized me. Like, I think we can all do stuff in a vacuum for so long and then we kind of run out of steam.
Well, actually one thing you just said, like, that's important, that you're excited to meet everybody else. It's kind of a huge thing to give back to your audience, to give back to your fans, to give back to the people that support you, just by taking the simple gesture of, okay, hey, we're going to go do this gaming thing. Does anybody want to come out? And, you finally get to, meet your fans, shake their hands, interact with them, have fun with them, create memories with them. That was a big thing. Like when I was doing the whole band thing, touring the West Coast and whatnot, was like most of our show we spent actually playing in the audience. And when people started actually getting more familiar with us and learning our songs and whatnot, there's a couple tracks where I would just hand the mic around the audience, like the 7 people in front of me, and everybody would just start singing. I'd get the mic back. And but no, it was always an honor to meet people that came out to our shows, to hang out with fans, to talk to them, because you don't know if someone's having like the worst day, the worst week, the worst month, the worst year of their lives, and they get to, you get to meet them, and you might have just like, picked them up from rock bottom just by having a conversation with them, sharing a shot at the bar or whatever with them. just because, you know, you give them inspiration and positivity in life.
Yeah, and I think probably to people listening, we've trotted out a lot of cliches there, because people in front of cameras with mics in their faces say this stuff all the time. But I think until you're there, like, it is true. Like, I'm pretty introverted. I am not massively up for meeting people all the time.
Yeah,
you know, I've got a certain amount of energy to do that, and so for me to say that I'm super excited and genuinely, you know, and also as you said, you know, it is such a privilege. It's coming from somewhere quite deep down, like, because I don't have a lot of reserves in that department. So that's going to be really cool. I think there are 10 of us in total. So it's a really small thing.
Oh, awesome.
And we've got tables organized. I painted up. I've got a video coming out tomorrow, which is the Dr. Spork 3D printed landing pad.
Oh, nice.
Which I painted up, which is an absolute monster. It covers at least a quarter of the table. It's phenomenal. And it's the same landing pad that featured in White Dwarf 182, 183, can't remember. Blood and Fire battle report with the Allied Ultramarines and Imperial Guard against the Orcs. And
I think I have that one.
Yeah, I think you probably do. Yeah. There's a fantastic scrap between the assault squad and Orc commandos on the landing pad.
Yeah, I think I've got that one. I think that was like one of the first times they ever showed the Ultramarines with jump packs from the rear in a battle report.
Yes. Yeah, there's a good shot of them kind of standing on the crest.
Yes, that's literally the first time they ever showed the backside of a jump pack.
Yeah.
Oh, and just a fanboy thing. We were talking about how you present your videos and how you narrate your videos a little bit earlier. Yours are like literally your battle reports. I don't play. I can't stand playing. My brain is like, no. Like I'll play the hell out of Space Hulk. I got familiar with Blood Bowl, but like 40K is just so weighed down with minutia and so many rules. Like I just can't do it. I've watched people play. My brain's like, no, dude, you're not doing this ever. But watching your battle reports is like the only time I could watch someone play, just because, dude, they're just so much fun. Like the battle report that you did of the Blood Angels inside this contained room fighting against the Orcs.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I was like, it was like butt puckering edge of my seat. Like, this is so cool. This is so cool. And it was really tight and close, and like who ended up winning that battle. But I ended up showing it to my gal, and she was like, that was really cool. She doesn't play either.
That's great to hear.
Oh, that was a great video.
Dark Fortress was was it called? No, Dark Cathedral is the mission. I think it's the second or third mission out of the Storm of Vengeance
and
supplement,
your video for Tyrannid Attack that you did.
Yeah,
it was the one box game for 40K that I had when I was a kid, and my painting bestie and I used to play it, but was like our own made up rule set, and the game it just was nothing like what you did. But after watching your video for our Tyrannid Attack, I was like, no, I want to watch this. I want to see how it's actually played. I ended up calling painting bestie. I was like, hey, you still got your copy of Advanced Space Crusade and all your Space Hulk stuff? And he's like, yeah. I was like, can you bring it over so I can piece together Tyrannid Attack again so we can actually play it? He's like, yeah. So I've got all his stuff here, and I've pieced most of Tyrannid Attack back together.
Wow.
We still haven't played it yet.
Cool set. That's such a cool set. Yeah, I got a few rules wrong, but fortunately it didn't really impact. I think the amount of movement that the Tyranids could come on initially was too much.
Oh, okay.
So there were a few turns where they came on and utterly massacred some Space Marine scouts.
Well, I had no idea the game was so like it was so randomized and explorative, and I really like how as you go through the ship, you can actually gain troops. Like you can get Terminators, you can get more scouts. I think you even didn't you have Space Marines in there too?
No regular Space Marines.
Okay. I just liked how you could actually gain more troops to your squad, and then the amount of Tyranids or Gene Stealers that came about was completely randomized as well. And I loved how if you took a board away and anything was on that board, didn't matter what side, they just instantly got wiped out.
They're gone. They're gone. Yeah, I do think that similarly in Space Hulk, on the back page, it does give you some rules for if you want to put some Eldar or some Orcs, or maybe even some regular Marines in there. It does give you the stats.
Well, I know they kept in first edition. They started printing expansion rules in White Dwarf a lot, and they expanded on Eldar. They expanded on Orcs. They expanded on Space Marines. I think they expanded on Chaos. And then you had the expansions Deathwing and Genestealer.
Yeah,
and then when second edition came out, they only supported that game, I think, for like 6 months after its release, and they did very little expansion on it from what I can remember. I do have an issue of White Dwarf for second edition Space Hulk. They introduced rules for the Space Wolf Terminators. They were just basically better at close combat, and that was the extent of what I saw for second edition. And I guess with third edition, they took everything and just lumped it all into one box.
Yeah, I think of all the 40K, or rather all Games Workshop games, Space Hulk is the one that I have probably the most experience with.
Oh, I played the hell out of that game. It's so easy.
Yeah.
You play one game and you know all the rules.
Yeah. I mean, I was a bit of a completionist. I don't think I played every campaign, but played most of them. And a good portion of the campaigns book that they released, which was a compendium of all the campaigns that
that was for first edition. Yeah,
I mean, one of my best gaming memories is a friend of mine, Tom, who I've had on the channel a few times actually. We used to I don't work at the school anymore, I can say this. We used to sneak off every now and then when we had free periods. Like during the summer, there are so many kids off classes because they've done their GCSEs or their A levels or whatever, and so you basically go and look busy, pretend to go and do things. But we'd occasionally disappear off to my flat, and we'd have the Space Hulk board out from the previous night on the dining room table, and we're like, right, let's go. Have extended lunch breaks up there, and we played. The best games we played were the Blood Angel campaign out of the campaign book, because I think it's 3 or 4 games, but with separate squads. And the idea is that the Genestealers it's not a Space Hulk, it's a facility. And the idea is that the Genestealers and the Genestealer cultists, hybrids, whatever, they're attacking this facility.
Yeah.
And all of those games are actually happening at the same time.
Oh, neat.
So they will have so it's like whole facilities being hit at the same time. And then the final mission is like the ultimate last stand. And what you would have done as a Space Marine player is taken a tally, like kept track of who your surviving Marines were. And so all of those survivors would have come back to their fallback positions. That was the last mission. And it was just so damn cool. Like it was.
This week's episode of the Minibar Podcast is brought to you by Space Hulk.
Yeah.
Because I'm having a blast and time is flying with this one. But I wanted to ask for just the sake of the show, what kind of paints do you use?
I primarily GW paints. However, they are being phased out quite rapidly. I did do the video that you mentioned earlier with the how to paint Space Marines guide. I used Coat d'Arms paints.
Okay.
And I think there's a little bit of discussion about, are they actually like for like in terms of this, that, and the other? Are they from the same factory that GW used to get their paint from? And things? I don't necessarily know the answer to that. But Coat d'Arms paints are much thinner. There's much, the opacity is different. You can kind of use them straight out the pot a bit more, which feels very unfamiliar. And you do need to put 4 or 5 coats of something on sometimes, which is odd because I was like, oh, this feels wrong. But at the same time, I feel like I remember this.
Yeah.
And that's probably because I experienced it when I was a lot younger.
Well, I don't think I've sent you pictures of them yet. I might have, but the Ultramarines that I'm working on that I've been doing for like the last month, I just started filming the tutorial last night, and I think it was, like 3 thinned out coats of the base coat from Army Painter War Painter for just the base coat.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's just a different I suppose it's just a different technique, isn't it? It's a different.
Yeah, well, it's just I do like really thin base coats. I'll do 2, 3, 4 of them, just depending on the pigment or the color itself, because some colors are thinner than others. Just that's how they naturally are. It doesn't matter how much pigment you have, but between 2 to 4 thinned out base coats, it gives you a really nice, smooth, even surface to start working on. Yeah.
I use coat to arms a little bit. There's an amazing coat to arms. I think if I was to recommend coat to arms products to anyone, I'd say get their washes, because their washes are amazing. So the pigmentation of their washes is intense. Like, you do not want to use those neat out the pot. And they've got an amazing brown wash, which I think is probably fairly similar to the old GW inks, when they used to sell the Golden Demon themed paint boxes. So I have a brown wash that I've been using for about 5 or 6 years, and I think it will probably outlive me, because I have to water it down so much before I can even use it. So so I don't tend to use very many GW washes. I don't use GW metallics anymore. I quite like Vallejo metallics. I'm a big fan of oily steel. Get on oily steel. I do like contrast paints as well.
Be forewarned. If you're using the old Vallejo formula, the new one's a little different.
Oh yeah, what, the metallics or the oily steel?
I haven't the few metallics from Vallejo I tried. I didn't like. I'm still using Citadel metallics because they work like old Citadel metallics in my mind and my functionality. The 2 Vallejo metallics that I had, it was like a cream acrylic base as opposed to a clear acrylic base, and I really didn't like it. But the new Vallejo formula, it's somewhat similar. I haven't used it a ton, but it's still somewhat similar to their old paints. It still tastes the same, but it dries with a matte finish now. Yeah. Like all the paints that I've used, they dry with a matte finish. So it's a little strange. Like, at least like with the new, like you can see it down where it says model color down at the bottom. It's model color and game color are still the same. They're the same formula now, but using that model color white down there, that's what I use to cover up spillover with dark colors to repaint to repaint lighter colors with. And their white still covers really well, like it used to.
Their whites are great.
Yeah. Like I've been trying to figure out and people are gonna be like, oh, it's so easy. I've been trying to figure out how to use AK whites for my workflow, and they're just really strange. So I have 3 different whites I use. I use Vallejo model color white, AK white, and Pro Acryl bold titanium white, or whatever the hell it's called. But they have 3 very different functionalities.
Yeah.
So, just be forewarned, if you go with the new clear bottles from Vallejo that are down there, it's going to take a little bit of adjustment. Yeah,
I don't have any strong allegiance to any paint lines, really. I think it's a case of me seeing a tutorial or someone else do it or recommend it, or, oh, this is the recipe. I'll accumulate paints that way. I'll figure it out for myself. But yeah, I kind of operate with base coats, primarily GW, contrast paints, GW, metallics, Vallejo, and washes all over the shop. But yeah, very open-minded. And I don't know if I necessarily want to kind of push myself as a painter. I don't see that as like an area. I enjoy it too much for that to be like an area of like, I really want to push myself. I really want to get into competition painting. Yeah, I'm very much about army composition. I'm going to sound like I'm blowing my own trumpet here, but I was I won something, never win anything. I went to Bunker Assault, which is the Bring and Battle war game, who do lots of second edition and bolt action and lots of great games. Fantastic guys. They did an event called Bunker Assault, and they handed out little plinths with little golden 3D printed second edition bunkers as prizes. And I won Best Painted Army, and I could not believe it.
Well, congratulations.
Well, yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. But that wasn't down to each individual painted model. I think it was down to how the army looked in its team photo, when it sat there amongst everything. Like, again, I think it's what resonated off it that meant that I got that prize.
Well, I do greatly like your consistency with what you paint.
Yeah.
Watching your painting videos, when you sit down and you do the whole box set, let's like say all your Tyrannid attack stuff, you're consistent across the board and all looks really good.
Yeah, I mean, I try. So to let you in on my kind of workflow is I have 2 days a week to do this. So I need to be really efficient.
Yeah.
And again, it comes down to that idea of, what are you using? Are you using this? What are you going to do? I'm going to use this box. How much time have you got? You've got 2 days. You've got 2 days of filming. You've got 2 days of filming, 2 days of editing. And if it's a painting project, it is 2 days of filming, 2 days of editing. If it's a battle report, it's 1 day of filming, 3 days of editing. In an ideal world, occasionally it all goes completely wrong, but I try and release 2 videos a month. And again, that constraint of you've only got this much time is super helpful. So it gets you really focused and gets you kind of thinking, all right, well, I've got 2 days to paint an entire box of Tyrannid attack.
Oh God!
Like I can't. Yeah, exactly. It's an absolute
2 days.
nightmare.
I'd have like one miniature half done.
Yeah, and that's something that I'm quite proud of. Really, I think that I think that people like seeing stuff. They like. It's interesting. I think there are so many YouTubers out there. And all power to them who have many more subscribers and much more success than me. But they have like 2 gears. They're like, I will do this one miniature, and that will be their like 1 gear, and then the other gear will be I will paint this whole box set in 24 hours. That's their whole kind of gimmick. Whereas I like to sort of sit in the middle and just be like, my Dark Angels video is I'm going to do 500 points. So this is like that's something which every hobbyist sort of says, like, I'm going to do the 500 points, and then maybe I'll do another 500 points, and then maybe I'll add a dreadnought, and then like that's a kind of organic thing. And there aren't that many videos of people doing that, but I kind of happen to think that, but if I've got 2 days, like I've got a lot of mates of mine who will take time off work. They'll be like, I'm really looking forward to, this annual leave. What are you doing with it? Oh, well, it's the release of the new Final Fantasy game or whatever it is. Or there's this release of the new Bretonians and I'm going to paint 500 points. People will put their time or their weekends aside to dedicate to the thing that they really enjoy doing. And they're not going to do something ridiculous like try and paint 2,000 points worth of miniatures. That's crazy.
Good Lord.
They'll do something like borderline ridiculous, which is paint 500 points.
Not quite ridiculous, just borderline ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like this is flying by. Here's a good one for you. Who influenced your painting style?
Oh, that is a very good question. I think it's probably an amalgamation of other YouTubers. I think.
Nice.
So, Sonic Sledgehammer, Sonic Sledge Hedgehog. Sonic Sledgehammer is a great, that has an amazing channel, hundreds of videos, and all of them are geared towards simplicity. There's a lot of World War II stuff, lots of Space Marines, lots of Horus Heresy. There's an awful lot of videos which are kind of spray your miniature grey, dry brush it this colour, and then put on a couple of washes kind of thing, all geared towards that. Big fan of Duncan. Big fan of Peachy. I think in the early days of 2020 era, 2021, like watched lots of Midwinter Minis' videos. Like I think it's a balance between expediency and result.
Yeah.
And I kind of slide back and forth in that spectrum. But one of the most pleasing paint recipes for me is orc flesh, which is I think it's Vallejo Goblin Green, and then a wash of Bale Tan Green over the Goblin Green, and then a highlight of Goblin Green, and then you basically mix ever increasingly higher volumes of yellow into the goblin green with your highlights, and you can go as long as you want with that, just getting more and more extreme until you're just using pure yellow. And that was one of my favorite ones. And I picked that out of a fanzine. So Josh from Crown of Command, who you had on, he's kind of edited. I can't remember the name of the fanzine, but it's basically a love letter to White Dwarf. And they featured someone's Goblin Army. I think they only released 2 editions. They featured someone's Goblin Army in there, and they did a how-to, classic, old school how-to guide of how to paint goblins. And that green recipe was in there. I was like, yes, let's do that. I think that's probably the only instance of me ever taking advice on painting from print media, embarrassingly. YouTube has made it so much more accessible. Even though I had like the heavy metal painting guide when I was a kid, I just looked at the pictures. It didn't mean anything to me. I didn't understand what language they were using when they were talking about highlighting. And
yeah, I've talked about it a lot on the show. In modern times, we as a collective of Oldhammer painters, but like the new Hammer kids and even some middle Hammer stuff, just with people getting into painting, like there's the plethora of available information and available resources out there now is just it's insane. Like especially with YouTube, when you and I were growing up, you mentioned the painting guides. We had we just looked at the pictures, but you'd have like between 3, 4, maybe sometimes 5 examples of these miniatures lined up next to each other. And I mean, God bless them. And Games Workshop got a lot better about it in the late 2000s into the 10s. Even now, they got a lot more detailed. A lot more photos of individual areas. But going back to the 90s, we had hypothetically, this is how you paint your Blood Angel. Step 1, prime the model. Step 2, base coat the model. Step 3, wash the model. Step 4, your model should look exactly like this when it's done. And there was there was very little description on what to do, and also there was no there was no video for it. So just apply your edge highlights just right to the edge, just like this in the photo. It's like now it's here's how I apply my edge highlights. First I mix up some water and paint, and then I wick the paint off the brush, make sure it has this consistency, and then here just draw it on like this. If you make an oopsie, here's how to fix it. In modern times it's a lot more detailed and a lot easier to observe what's being done with the painting method itself, and it's a lot more I can't talk today. Explanational. I can't think of the word. It's just a lot more detailed in its explanation of what should happen, and just again resource wise, just like years, decades worth of videos on YouTube now, decades of videos on YouTube now, and like even one that like I'll recommend her video. It's a great video, and there's just somebody who asked me for advice. I need to send him the video. I don't think he's watched it yet, but Louise from Rogue Hobbies, she just released like a Q&A video of like for painting questions, and it's a great example. She goes over glazing, she goes over hedge highlighting, she goes over consistency of paints, and she gives very good presentation on what she does. So if you've got a question about painting, go check out her channel, especially her most recent video about actually the video before that was a whole video I think just on glazing itself. I forgot where I was going with that. My brain is kind of mush today, but just the amount of resources now compared to when we were kids is absolutely insane.
And I'm very fortunate to have had some really, really good advice. So Fletcher, who's an extremely talented painter, he once said to me, "It's only paint," and having someone who is very much at the top of their game and a Golden Demon winner and a perfectionist, for them just to go, "It's only paint." It's such a grounding thing, and it makes you realize that it's much better to just go for it and have a go, rather than feel that, well, I don't want to do this. I'm going to hesitate because I might make a mistake. It's just, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you make a mistake. It's better that you experiment and see what it looks like and explore than not. And I think the same is of my videos as well, that there's so much fear and trepidation at first. And I look back on all my videos now, and I like even a video like 1 or 2. Now that I've got this new camera, looking at like the video before and being like, ugh, did that wrong, kind of thing.
Oh, dude, I watched my first podcast. And I'm like, oh god, that was bad.
But I take that sort of, you shouldn't let perfectionism, and I sense that there is a level of perfectionism in you, Lennon, when I look at your painting, because I'm like, my word, the precision here is unbelievable. But I think, you know, you can't ever let that stop you doing anything. Otherwise, you'll never do anything, and you'll never get better.
Advice I always give to people. It's trial by fire. Dive in head first and just go. You're gonna suck at it. That's just how anything is. Anything in life. It doesn't matter what you're doing. When you first start doing something, you're gonna suck at it. But the important part is, like, you have a goal or an objective in mind that you want to achieve somehow. The objective is not. The objective is the end of one journey, and the journey is the important part, because the journey is where you learn things. You're trying to emulate this one objective that you have in your head about perfection, what's being perfect, or what you want to do, and all the paths that you take to get there are what's important, because what you just expressed, you know, you're gonna take 100 different paths, and you're gonna learn all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah,
you know, you're gonna learn things that you never thought you'd learn. And that experience is the important part. That experience is the fun part. When you finally reach that end goal of what you're trying to achieve, it's kind of disappointing, because it's like, okay, I reached the end goal. That was like a whole year, 2 years journey. I've got to start a new journey now. And it's kind of exciting, because it's like, okay, here's something else I want to do. And then, here's a million other paths you're going to take, and you're going to have a whole bunch more experiences.
I mean, my big regret, I think, looking at my videos now, you know, 3 years ago, I'll look at that and be like, okay, this is awesome. I've made this progress. I really like the way I do things there, versus now. And it's that great journey. But that my then criticism is, why didn't I start this 10 years ago? Because if I started 10 years ago, then where I could be now.
I've thought about that with painting recently. It's like, why didn't I start back up again sooner? But also at the same time, you know, sometimes in life, ideally, you're just not in either a physical or a mental space to where you can do that properly. Yeah. You know, what I was doing through the 2010s, life would not have allowed me. I would have had to drop something major I was doing to pick painting back up again. And getting back into painting when I did, it came along at the right time in my life. And as many experiences as I'd like to have had prior to getting back into painting when I did, I'm glad I didn't, because I'm enjoying what I'm going through now. It's a lot of fun. And it was the same thing like when I was doing the band stuff and like the car stuff. Why did I get into car stuff when I was a teenager? It hit me in my 20s. But we all pick the paths that we're supposed to go at certain points in our lives, and things are introduced. We're given decisions to make, and things are introduced right when they should be, and it's up to you to take, if you want to take that journey or not. If you don't take it, that path may not come up again for another 5 to 10 years.
Yeah,
I mean, kind of getting more into the more spiritual side of life. But no, thinking, why didn't I do this sooner? Well, you just weren't presented the opportunity to do it sooner. But are you doing it now? Yeah, that's the important part. Are you having fun? Yep. Then keep doing it.
Yeah.
Keep doing it until your eyeballs fall out and you can't see anymore.
I mean, what feels good is, I think that the particular niche that I've chosen for myself is true to myself. Yeah. I think if I had started 10 years ago, you know, I might have set off down a path of being really, you know, trying to chase 7th edition or whatever it was, you know, and all that kind of stuff, because I went on a really circuitous journey through the hobby, because I was probably changing as a person, and I was interested in certain things, whereas now I feel now, as I stand on the precipice of middle age, that I'm now kind of leveling out a bit. Now whether that is true or not, remains to be seen. But I feel like I am leveling out, and I can now be consistent in this thing.
Well, I was doing some research. It was a year before I got back into painting. Like, I felt like life was just really missing something. Like I didn't feel as fulfilled as I did in my 30s, like going into my 40s. And I found it's actually quite common, especially for men, successful people in life, that when we hit our 40s, there's this kind of bleh that happens where things aren't as exciting as they were in our 20s and 30s, especially if you're building success in your 30s. Life just kind of levels out because you don't have to hustle and push as hard in your 40s, especially if you did well in your 30s, because excuse me, you have a good platform set up. You've experienced 20 years worth of, 20s, 30s, 2 decades worth of problems, hurdles, and you had to start at ground level and work your way up. And you don't hit all the hurdles that you did. You want to dive into something new. You've got those 2 decades worth of experience where it's like, okay, I can avoid like those 17 hurdles over there because I already fell over those 4 times. But like with me, with growing Old Grumpy Wolf, I'm just taking, like, I want it to be something that I do as a career for the next 10 to 15 years of my life, just because I really, really enjoy it. It's the culmination of everything that I've done. Like, I get to do all aspects of my art with it, but building it to where it is simply in 2.5 years, I've come further in 2.5 years than I did with the first like 10 to 15 years of my other business. But it's because of my other business that I know how to grow Old Grumpy Wolf properly. And Old Grumpy Wolf's teaching me new things, like doing this podcast with people. This is new. And this has just been a dream come true because I get to talk to guys like you that I admire, that I think are just absolutely cool. That inspired me in my own silly little, painting war dolls.
You said that really well, actually. And I think that's something which I've said a few times now. It's the culmination of experience. Like, if ever I go down the dark path of thinking I've completely wasted my time spending years doing something, or, a kind of abortive acting career or whatever, like, if I'm really harsh to myself, I'll just remember, well, no, because you learnt so much stuff, and that has culminated in being able to do the things which you went on to do after that. Like, everything has a progression. Like, I never went off down a tangent where the skills that I attained were completely irrelevant. It's all, it can be attributed to the next thing. It's all part of the same tech tree. You can kind of utilize. Like, a lot of this, and I'm sure, in terms of your own workflow, is project management. I had no project management skills at all in my early 20s. I'm now in a position where being self-employed is kind of easy and really gratifying, whereas I was completely clueless in my 20s and unsuited to it. It's been good, and it's also nice to be able to apply kind of boring work skills to fun stuff. Yeah, because it's one less thing to worry about. And if you've got all of those things ticked, then it means that when you kind of go, all right, well, I want to learn how to I want to create a YouTube channel, then it means that, all right, that means that you just need to learn how to edit a video. You've got your voiceover down, you know how to write a script, you know how to light a shot, whatever. Whereas I think there are lots of people who come to YouTubing and they have to, the amount of the skills that they need, it's a lot harder if you need to basically figure everything out from the ground up. So I do count my blessings. I'm very lucky, very lucky.
Well, speaking of culmination of things, to go on to like the last question of the show, what advice would you give painters and hobbyists just starting out to help them avoid the pitfalls you've experienced, or even YouTubers?
Wow. I would, we'll go with the YouTuber thing. I think just start with what you have. I bought a moderately expensive camera when I started, and what I didn't realize is that the camera I should have been using was one I had in my hand. And so that's kind of my YouTube advice. That's that. I think maybe with painting, it's very different. With videos, I'm always looking to make something better in the next video than it was in the past. Yeah. So it might be something which is not even noticeable to the viewer. A viewer might objectively or subjectively say that the next video is not as good as the previous one, but I will probably most of the time be like, it was, because that's very subjective, because you could do
subject matter that it's a good video, but simply it doesn't apply or doesn't appeal to everyone. So I want to say it's subjective.
But I'll be sitting there going, yes, but I remembered to do that transition effect better, or whatever it was. There'll be something which no one cares about or notices, but I've added that. I think with painting, it's not necessarily the case. I don't think that with painting it's a case of just make sure your next miniature is better than the last one, because that's not really what painting's for. That's not fun. I think a degree of planning is really important. Like have a vision of something. Like try not to. I think rather than thinking about miniatures as individual models, think about them as a composition in a squad or a group. If that's what you're aiming for, I think a lot of the time in the hobby it is about painting armies to play games. So unless you're in the business of painting single miniatures, then come up with a plan and stick to it.
Yeah.
Like focus more on, I think there's a lot about painting models, but there's still a reasonably limited amount of stuff out there about how to paint armies. And my Blood Angel army was based on a lot of staring at John Blanche's cover art for the second edition box set. It's like, what colors are working here? What designs? Looking at the great thing about John Blanche is there's loads of innocuous detail that unless you look for it, you don't see it.
Yeah.
Like there are, like the banner that I've got on my Devastator Sergeant is taken from one of the banners.
Oh, very
just
cool.
in the way in the background. There are things that kind of fell off the wagon a little bit, like the white flames going up the shoulder pad of the guy with the flamer. I don't think I ever did those, but it's things like that that kind of please me and make me happy, and that palette. And then working out, well, can I do this in 2 steps? Can I do this in 3 steps? So you don't end up, because I've lost enthusiasm and fallen off so many projects. And it's only in the last couple of years when I am genuinely thinking about color schemes and fixating on what I want the finished thing to look like, that I actually get things done. So that's really important. I think that's it really. I think anything else everyone's probably heard before a million times.
Well, no, you mentioned your projects thing where like you kind of fall off it. That's actually like, that's one of the hardest parts of success to deal with. It doesn't matter what you do. When you start a new project, doesn't matter what it is. There's always the hype, the excitement of it, of starting something new. But like, when you're in the thick of it, you tend to lose that enthusiasm. But the important part is like learning how to sustain what you're doing and keep pushing to get the end result, to see the project through. And I've spent the last month since the beginning of February working on the 5 Ultramarines, and I'm glad that I did the 4 that are done now, and then saving the 5th one for the tutorial video, because in the past, when I did the Blood Angels one, I kind of had that workflow down. When I did the Space Wolves one, I only did 2 miniatures. I did half of 2 miniatures before filming the video. And then now with the Ultramarines, I painted 4 complete miniatures. The first one was the test miniature, figuring everything out. Never mind, I did a test miniature before that and painted that like 7 different shades of blue. And that poor guy already had like 2 coats of paint on him from when I was a teenager. But the point is, I started filming the Ultramarines tutorial last night, and I think I spent, 6.5 hours with it. But the body of the miniature is almost done. I've got another maybe hours worth of filming to do on the body tonight, and then I can jump and do in the arms and backpack. And when he's done, I'll have a full squad of 5. And I'm kind of burnt out on doing Ultramarines right now, like that squad, because I've been staring at them for 2.5, 3 weeks now. So it's coming to that point where
6 hours on 1 miniature, then you are going to feel that way, aren't you?
Coming to the point of kind of burnout, because I've been staring at these 4 models for so long. But I know when I get the 5th one done and I get the base done, that I'm presenting them with the Golden Demon, I will feel a lot better when they're sitting over there on the shelf in their little case on their base, all done.
Yeah.
So that the end of project excitement's coming up. But yeah, it's that sustainability while you're doing the project. It's kind of hard to keep pushing, but there is a point where, you do reach the peak of the mountain, pushing that snowball up the mountain. Then afterwards it just downhill from there. And it's usually toward the end of the project where you're like, oh yeah, I'm starting to see progress. Let's do this.
Yeah. I think for me, the point to painting Space Marines where I do think to myself, oh, this sucks, is I hate painting the backpacks. Like, painting backpacks absolutely sucks.
Do those.
Like, there's nothing.
When you're done with the body, do the backpacks first. Don't touch the arms, do the backpacks.
There's no kind of, like, when I'm painting a guy, I'm like, he's constantly grimacing at you and posing, and you see him come together. Whereas a backpack is just this Geiger-esque blob that just sits there. You're like, what are you? I don't care about you. I'm not even going to look at you. You're going to be facing the other way.
Yeah.
That's just a miserable experience.
I'm glad there's somebody else out there who hates painting backpacks. It's like my least favorite portion of the Minnesota paint.
It sucks. No one talks about it enough. So Dave Walker, whose channel is MS Paints, he did.
Oh yeah, yeah. I love Dave's stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing. He did a really good kind of discussion piece. Mm-hmm. And I think it was, have we all got too much Warhammer or something like that? And
no, you can never have too much Warhammer stuff.
But I think it was very insightful because he talked about, everyone talks about pile of shame, all this kind of stuff, and you kind of roll your eyes. But he talked about how actually everyone's stuff with Warhammer is divided, or miniatures or whatever, it's divided into kind of two categories. There's the FOMO stuff, which is the, oh my God, they just released this, and you just sort of buy it just because it's cool. And then there's the other stuff, which is the well-intentioned purchase that, again, just sits there. So they both just sit there gathering dust. One's the FOMO, one's the well-intentioned. And I've got myself into a position now where I actually never acquire FOMO. Like, I don't. Because if you decide to commit yourself to incredibly old miniatures, like, you'll find that all the FOMO just drops away. Like, it's absolutely fine. But the well-intentioned
it's FOMO of like, will I ever find it for this price again?
That is true. Yeah, that is true. Have I not got enough of this model? Do I need another second edition box set?
That's how I am with RTB 15 Marines.
Yeah. I mean, they are beautiful. So yeah, but the aspiration thing is a big one for me. But I've learned not to be too critical. Like, we're all different. I'm super critical of myself. If I have a project which is just sat in a box and it's been there for 5 years, I will just sell it. I will get rid of it. I'll throw it away, because I just kind of think, who am I kidding? I'm never going to do it. Yeah. And I've got a few friends who have so much Warhammer, and I know it and they know it, that they're never going to do it, but they'll still talk about the project. And I've learned that actually, although it causes me psychic damage to do that to myself, for some of these guys, that is just part of the hobby, and that's part of the joy of it. Like, it's nice to have the stuff, and it's nice to talk about the stuff, and it doesn't make them unhappy not ever getting around to it. I've got friends who will build, we'll sit on YouTube and sit on Discord or whatever and chat and catch up, and they will be building something or converting something. And the chances are they'll never get around to priming or even painting or priming that model, but they really enjoy the process of building and converting things. And like, more power to them. So I'm not trying to cast any kind of judgment. This is all stuff. A lot of my views and opinions, they are my own, and the kind of emotional response that I have is more just how I feel, and I do things in my way because that's what works for me. Like, if I worked your way, Lennon, I would go crazy. Like, I don't think I could never paint as well as you.
Well, hold on, you mentioned something good. You've cut yourself off from buying new stuff, and I found over the last year I've really gotten my mental space in the same thing. A lot of the things that I buy now are specifically for future projects, like for like doing stuff for painting competitions, or it's kind of competitional stuff, but like also like posting on social media to like keep people interested and whatnot. I want to say at the end of January, I wound up buying a load of old second edition stuff. I ended up buying a bunch of Rogue Trader Dark Angels and Ultramarines transfers because those are my projects for the year. So I'm going to need those transfers because I like a lot of the Rogue Trader transfers a lot better than second edition and up. But except for Space Wolves, because the second edition Space Wolves logo is a lot better. But the whole point is, anything that I buy tends to be project based in mind. Period. I've got a load of stuff next to my desk where I bought the new Logan Grimnar next year. I'll get to painting them in the next few years. I have no idea when I'll get it, but I'll get to it. But right now, like the next couple years of my life is just project focused, and a lot of what I bought is specifically to supplement those projects. So. Going and buying new Hammer stuff or just buying new stuff on a whim. No, I can't do it. I've got to have, the mental mindset is like, if I buy something now, it's for a project. It's either going to go on YouTube or it's going to go on Instagram. It's going in a painting competition. That's it. So that way I don't end up spending like buttloads of money on things that I'm never going to touch. Because like in the 90s, we all did it as kids. I'm going to paint this. 30 years later, I'm not going to paint this.
Yeah.
And thank you for the compliments about my painting. I do appreciate that. I'm not used to people that I look up to complimenting what I do, so it's still kind of a strange feeling to me to this day that people appreciate the way what I paint. And for me, I just paint how I paint. It's just fun to me.
It's an incredibly distinct style. Like you don't really see, like looking at one of your models, you know that it's an old Grumpy Wolf model.
Thank you.
It is. It's kind of like it feels like the heavy metal style, but it's like turned up to 11. It's like maximum contrast, maximum saturation. It's like if it's kind of like Mark Gibbons. It's like the Mark Gibbons side.
Oh, his episode comes out next week, by the way.
Is what? Sorry,
Mark Gibbons, really? The illustrator. Yeah, I got him on. He's the first episode of season 2. This is episode number, I think, 8 or 9.
Wow. Yeah, and even though basically all of Mark Gibbons' art is black and white, I feel like if they were coloured, they would be kind of.
Well, he did the cover to the second edition Orcs Codex.
Oh yeah, he did.
Yeah, it was all color.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a great piece of work. That. Love that dead Dark Angel. He does really good dead Marines.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now Mark is a huge influence on my life, and like especially in high school where I went to high school. It was called Las Vegas Academy of Visual and Performing Arts, and it was one of the first magnet schools here in Vegas. And I majored in art, and his style of artwork was a huge influence on what I did. There's actually, I can send you some pictures. Numerous times where I copied his artwork out of White Dwarf, but his blending, like his blending style and his drawing style, really helped me get into that particular style of artwork, and it greatly aided me when I went to college. So, it's the influence of dear old Mark Gibbons.
Yeah, so cool. Wow.
Because you said you limited on time, I want to jump into your Instagram feed really quick because there was a couple of things.
Sure.
Oops. There's a few things I wanted to talk to you about. So we were talking earlier. These are your 3 Space Marines that you made a tutorial for: Salamanders, Blood Angels, and Ultramarines. And I still go back to this video and watch it because I really enjoy it. And I really like these 3 Marines that you rescued and painted. And I love how you did the 90s book style artwork. That's really cool.
Yeah, that took me absolutely bloody ages to do that.
What, the cover or the 3 Marines?
The cover.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I basically had to, I won't bore you, but I spent a lot of time on Canva, basically just trying to Photoshop it and clean it up and all sorts of things. Because there was a massive coffee stain on it. So I had to basically replicate the yellow and try and work my way carefully around erasing all the coffee stain. But yeah, that was a lot of fun to do. Many, many layers of coat to arms, dark green and blue on those miniatures. Again, it was all out of the pot, so that was quite exciting. I love that Blood Angel. He's seriously cool.
Yeah, you did a really good job on these 3.
Yeah. I see what you mean about the Rogue Trader transfers. I put that Sergeant one on the Ultramarine on his Grieve or whatever it's called. But yeah, the Ultramarine transfers are very cool out of the Rogue Trader set.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. Like I like I guess because no one uses them anymore is why I've really fallen in love with them. And yeah, they were so early on in their design style that, you know, like it's kind of this early idea, but I like how chonky the Dark Angels one is, and I also like how chonky the Ultramarines one is. How it's like the Ultramarines one is actually a lot smoother than the second edition and up and what we've got now.
Yeah.
And to touch on it, and especially I think 80 Wood's really going to like this, but to touch on it, I love your epic scale stuff.
Oh yeah,
it's so cool to see someone doing epic scale stuff.
Yeah, I love epic, and that is the ultimate. I'm going to paint an army in a weekend.
Yeah,
thing. You can totally do that. Contrast paints are, and I think AD has said this elsewhere, but contrast paints are an absolute gift to epic painting.
Yeah,
and lots of fun.
Oh, I didn't send them to you. I did just a single base of 5 Ultramarines. I got bored one night and I needed a break from what I didn't get bored. I just wanted a break from what I was doing. So I ended up painting up just a little base of 5 Ultramarines. And I've like got this whole project idea in mind of like, I'm going to do like each chapter and make little banners. And I dug out some rhinos and I'm like, yeah, I'll get to this eventually. So at least with epic figures, they don't take up a whole lot of space on your desk. They just, go into like a small box and you got a couple hundred of them in there. You're like, oh, cool. I don't have to stare at these too much. Yeah, this was neat. I was looking at this last night before I went to bed. And like your little
that was
diorama.
A lot of fun. That was super fiddly. To basically had to trim all of them off their tiny little bases without cutting off their little feet.
And the problem with old Epic Minis, especially the Mark 6 ones, the weak point in the models were their knees.
Yeah.
Like when you're trying to trim the base off, you're like, crap, it just snapped in half. That's not cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny looking at this Instagram because I don't know if you've noticed, I haven't actually posted anything on Instagram for probably upwards of a year, I imagine. I mean, that's pinned, that one.
Yeah, which one's this?
So
January 25.
Yeah, January. Yeah.
That's really nice.
I sort of I realized that I just wanted to stick to YouTube, really.
Yeah.
And I know that Instagram's great. I still go on Instagram. I don't have it as an app on my phone anymore because then I just habitually go on it. But every now and then on my desktop, I'll take a look. I'm interested in what everyone else is doing. I just don't. I think I spend enough time obsessively looking at YouTube Studio that I just need to limit my time elsewhere on the internet.
Looking at this at the very beginning of the episode, give yourself a lot more credit as a painter. This is really good.
Yeah, well, again, credit where credit's due. Fletcher spent a lot of time teaching me how to do faces.
Yeah.
So that was
you pulled this. This is excellent.
That was some teaching in practice there. Yeah, I was quite pleased with that.
Yeah, that turned out really nice. All the browns that you use on it, even the grays, just everything is really nice. Everything's well balanced. Your blending is really good on it. The face is really good. I like the eyes a lot. You did a great job.
Yeah, thank you.
And what the hell else? There was one more in here I want to talk about. Oh, there's your Blood Angels army. Yeah, boy.
Yeah, the blue bases, again, was a kind of direct inspiration from the John Blanche artwork. And that's not to say that it's any of that's kind of blue tinged, but it's just more of a case of what is a color choice which is grim but not kind of veering towards the modern aesthetic of doing a. You
were talking about my painting style, and it also is yours. The term for this painting style is grim bright.
Oh yeah, grim bright. Yeah.
I want to hear you say that in one of your videos. I decided to do this in the grim bright style.
The grim bright style.
There you go. It's all dark and depressing. Grim bright.
No, I was listening to some guys talking to talking about working with John Blanche and his art style.
Oh, that banner on the Devastator down there?
Oh, that's the one, yeah. Yeah. So I think sort of on the right-hand side of the big battle scene on the second edition box set, there's a guy with that banner.
Oh, very cool.
Which is very cool. But yeah, they kind of countered the fact that people always refer to John Blanche as grimdark, and they said, well, actually, if you look at his art, it's really vibrant. It's macabre, but it's incredibly opulent in its color choices. And I thought, oh yeah, there's these things that we just get into a habit of just saying over and over again, that we just take them as fact. But the artist himself is not really of the opinion that his stuff is particularly grimdark.
Well, I noticed in your Blood Angels, you actually do have you do have a modern Hammer thing in here, which is like the greatest thing Games Workshop has ever released. You bought the box. You bought the box of skulls.
Oh, I did buy the box of skulls.
Oh, yeah. That is the greatest thing they've ever brought out.
Yeah, so good. I got a great piece of advice from one of my folks on the Discord. So have you had any experience painting any of the original Space Marine, well, not the original Space Marine, but the plastic Space Marine bikes?
No, I was never big into doing vehicles.
Yeah. Well, it's a great, I mean, is it a great kit? I mean, it's a nightmare of a kit, I think is probably the correct thing to say, before they remachined it with pegs so you can line it all up. But you just have to line it up by...
And you're talking about this one.
It. Yeah. So they released, he's like just the standard one on the sprue, but there are torsos for like a guy with a power sword and a multi-melter and a plasma gun. But as soon as you put that heavy bit of metal on top, it just tips over.
Oh, yeah. There's in the first Ravenwing squad for second edition with these models that came out.
Yeah,
that's in White Dwarf. There's a captain or a sergeant on a bike and he's holding an axe. And if you look at the photo, there's actually a little peg coming right off the side of the foot where his feet are to keep the bike level.
Yeah. So what you use instead of a peg is you use a skull, and it's great. And it looks really good because it's sort of it frames it nicely. It seems in keeping with the model, but the skull keeps the bike from tipping over due to the weight of his axe or his gun.
That's a great idea.
So that was a brilliant tip.
The last thing I wanted to comment on is where did he go? I just passed him.
Well, actually, go down. I want to show the Walter White one. Actually, I know that's not Warhammer. That's a hassle-free miniature. There we go. That guy, just at the very bottom in the middle.
Oh, this.
Yeah. So I think that's hassle-free miniatures, and it's a not Walter White from Breaking Bad.
I've never watched the show, so I don't know. I know who you're referencing, but I've never watched it.
Well, I painted that for a very good friend of mine who actually lives quite near me now.
Okay.
I wanted to create little gifts for everyone who did things at my wife and I's wedding.
Oh, very cool.
And everyone always said that he looked like Walter White, so I did him did a little Heisenberg model for him, which I'm very pleased with. Yeah.
The last thing I wanted to talk about is there he is, the original Primaris Marine.
Oh, yeah.
I wish Games Workshop would have done more with the Errant armor.
I think that might be my favorite model. Yeah, I think it's up there. I think that is my favorite model. It's definitely one of my favorites of Jess Goodwin. It's so cool. The concept art for it is badass as well.
I'm absolutely kicking myself because right after I got back into this, I went on eBay and I was poking around and I found like there was a seller selling off a bunch of prototype models. And Games Workshop was going to do a whole bunch more with Mark 8 armor. And there was like 5 or 6 of the prototypes and they were all in different poses. And I think it was $15-20 a miniature, and God, I wish I would have bought all 5 or 6 of them. They were so cool. There was one that was like you could use the regular second edition plastic arms with. So there was one that was like posed where he was like holding the bolter like this. There was another one pointing. There was another one with a power fist. Like they made up a whole bunch of different Mark 8s. They just never released them. They only released the 2 that came out, the one with arms and the one without arms. Yeah, and he's the one with arms. Yeah, and I mean he's so cool. So I actually, even though I'm saying he's one of my favorite models, I gave him to Matthew when he came down. Oh, really?
The first time Matthew came down. Yeah. I mean, Matthew's such a lovely guy. He
Where'd he go?
He came with like chocolate, and he had painted a picture of my cat. Like, he came prepared. It was amazing house guests. He just brought these gifts. I was absolutely blown away. So I handed him the Ultramarine.
Oh, you made a video out of this too.
Yeah. So the theme was Space Marine chapters of the High Fleet Kraken.
Okay.
So the Ultramarines obviously were front and center at ICAR 4. The Lamenters, like, it's mentioned all through the Tyranid Attack book and various early Inquisitor Cryptman stories that the Lamenters are sort of mentioned as being heavily involved or wiped out or whatever it is. And then the what are they called? Well, the Space Marine chapter on the right, the Knights of Eternity, that's what they're called.
Oh, wow.
It's a complete one-liner. I think it's a throwaway comment in the third or fourth edition codex, Tyranid Codex, that the Knights of Eternity were wiped out. And that's it. That's all you get. I thought, well, that's
like the same amount of information you get on the Rainbow Warriors.
Yeah. I was like, that's so badass. Who are these guys? I love them already, because they probably had an epic last stand.
The thing I've always found about, like, watching your videos and seeing your models, dude, and I'm kind of jealous, is you have so many RTB 15 arms. Like, your Lamenter uses RTB 15 arms, and then the red and white guy uses RTB 15 arms. And I'm a buddy of mine over in England who does 3D printing. He's got a scanner. I've got to send him a sprue. I've got a brand new box of RTB 15 Marines, and I'm going to send him a sprue for him to scan the arms in and just print me out infinite of them, because I need them.
Well, I do too. I've got lots of the bodies, but without.
Yeah, that's the problem, is you can get like, the bodies are so easy to get, but the arms, forget it.
Yeah. So, like you, I was fortunate enough to pick up a pretty much brand new box of the Strike Force Marines. But unlike you, I sort of was quite sacrilegious, and that I kind of just divvied out the contents to whatever I fancied on the day on a bit of a whim. I didn't give the box the reverence that it deserved.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I found it was last year. It was early last year. I found another brand new box of RTB 15 Marines and RTB 09 Terminators, and they were like $175 each. And I bought them, and I'm never touching them.
I would love to get my hands on those Terminators. They're so good. They're so cool.
They're good when they're cast properly.
Oh, really? Is there a batch of good ones?
Or when they were, I've got about 10 or 15 of them left. And I think 3 of them are perfect castings, and then the rest are like minor to major miscastings.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so like I was fearful about buying like second edition models off eBay recently, and after I got them all in the mail, I vaguely remembered, like, when second edition was in full swing and they still kept some of the stuff around in third edition, the factory got a lot better about casting with the molds, where you wouldn't have nearly as many errors in them. But with those Rogue Trader Terminators, dude, some of them are like the major bad miscastings. They're bad. Like, you have to go after them with like a Dremel tool.
Okay.
So,
okay. And you will be dremeling actual lead as well in that instance. Yeah.
So if you go buy them on eBay, find the auctions that have good all-around shots and try to look for miscastings. The major miscastings usually happen toward the legs, where it'll shift, or there will be like the mold is wearing out, and there'll be like extra metal on the back sides of the legs.
Yeah. I've got quite a lot of old Grey Knights, which I'm very pleased with. And as awesome as they are, like, there's a lot going on with those models, which I suspect is why they didn't stick around for very long.
Yeah, I've got like 5 or 6 of those that I've just looked at, and I'm like, I don't ever want to paint you.
Oh, that's so cool.
You don't look so fun at all.
Yeah. I know you don't play, but the amount of points that you can sink into a squad of Grey Knights is so lore accurate. Like, you can turn 5 Grey Knights into like 1,000 points on the table.
If I remember correctly, like even in later editions, Grey Knights are still expensive.
Yeah, the elite of the elite. They're
like you could
cool.
field like one Terminator squad, one 10-man squad, and like a character, and that was your whole army. That was like 2,000 points right there.
Yeah, I do love that about the older editions, certainly.
So I need to let you go. I'll wrap the show up. Is there anybody you'd like to give shout outs to? I copied a bunch down of the painting people you were talking about, but
oh my goodness. Yes, I should have had to think about this.
I think to warn people about that.
There's one, but very much first and foremost is Dr. Spork. So the latest video that I've done was the landing pad, as I mentioned, which is a big 3D print. And Dr. Spork basically does retro sci-fi and retro fantasy 3D prints, which you might see as eerily familiar to some of your favorite scratch-built terrain that you might have seen hanging around in old White Dwarfs, and very faithfully reproduced and very reasonably priced. There is also a coupon code at the end of my video on the landing pad to get 50% off. So yeah, do throw Dr. Spork $1. He's a legend. He does excellent work, and I'm sure there's a lot more excellent work to come from him as well. So yeah, that is my shout out.
Okay.
If there's anyone else out there, I love you. I'm sorry. I'll shout you out another time.
I actually, Dietz did leave you a question. I just glazed over it because I was kind of.
Okay.
So your mystery question from Dietz, aka Anvil of Doom Miniatures, is: if your hobby wasn't mini painting, what would it be?
Wow! If my hobby wasn't mini painting, what would it be? I think it would either be brewing coffee or making beer. I think it would be one of those two things. So I work up at the university, and there's a great coffee shop there called Interlude. Shout out to Interlude Coffee. So no one is going to watch this who has any idea what that is. And what I noticed in there, which is really interesting, that you get this cross section of people, because I think you get a lot of like chemists and biochemists. And I recognize a lot of these people from the friendly local gaming store and tournaments and things. So I'm like, nod to each other on the hill. So it's like, you're a nerd who's into chemistry and biochemistry, and your PhD. You happen to be into Warhammer. And it's like a lot of these people also happen to be really into coffee, or really into brewing, or really into fermenting things. I think these are just like, basically, I think that if I wasn't living in the 21st century and we were able to make loads of toy soldiers out of the byproduct of petrochemical companies, and you put me in the Middle Ages, I would probably be like a monk. But I wouldn't be a monk because I was really into writing out the Bible and Christianity and stuff. I'd be a monk because I'd be really into growing vegetables and making really strong beer.
There you go.
So that's
what kind
my
of,
response.
Curious, what kind of beer would you make? Because I'm not into coffee, but I do like beer. So
I tell you something about Bristol is we're spoilt for good breweries around here. We do. There's some great stuff. Like you would struggle to buy beer that isn't from Bristol in Bristol. That's the great thing about it. And it's really affordable because it's locally produced, because it's all just like down the road. I'm getting really into stout beers, so dark beers. That might just be because of the time of year. And I've been really hungry recently. But I do
have a couple of stouts and it'll fill you up real quick.
Yeah, I do like a lot of the kind of American hopped stuff.
Ugh.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't do IPAs. I can't do hoppy stuff.
I do think. I mean, I have been told that sometimes in the States they go a bit overboard with it.
Oh, it's it's IPAs and hoppy stuff is huge here. Like, it's mainly because of the college crowd. So like tons of, especially in Vegas, tons of breweries here in Vegas, microbreweries, whatever. They're loaded with IPAs, and it's like my painting bestie. He started a brewery 20 odd years ago, and the majority of the menu, it's still around. The majority of the menu is IPA. It's just like, can I have a blonde or a white or a lager, something that doesn't like reek of hops?
Yeah, it's very seasonal for me. I think I just like all beer, but I'll drink various things at different points of the year. A friend of mine, the guy I did the Heisenberg model for, is an exceptional brewer, and he's getting really into it and does a few batches every now and then. Did a particularly good Christmas beer.
There's one Japanese brand that I absolutely love is Asahi, because it is so dry. Yeah, that is a nice one. Carl Tuttle likes that. You know, Carl Tuttle from the Independent Characters. He always talks about Asahi. Oh, nice.
So Independent Characters is pretty much the podcast that got me back into 40K and kind of early 2010s.
And my gal, she really likes, I think she likes Kirin. Is it Kirin? No, she likes Sapporo. There we go.
Okay. Yeah.
She likes every Japanese beer that I don't like. Well, I'll drink them, but I just really like Asahi just because of, like, Sapporo it's got kind of like a weird aftertaste to it. And then Kirin, I've only had a handful of times, so I haven't really developed any kind of memory for it. But Asahi is absolutely delicious. It's almost like, it reminds me a lot of like a good summer beer is like Corona.
Yeah.
You know, ice cold Corona, like here in Vegas when it's like 115 degrees outside. There ain't nothing better. It's so good. That or like a good, like nice ice cold Hefeweizen in the summer. Oh.
Yeah, delicious beer. I mean, pretty much if it's hot outside and you're just a little bit dehydrated, anything lagery and dry is just delicious.
Well, it's either got to be in a bottle or it's got to be out of a tap. It cannot be in a can because cans ruin the flavor of everything. Yeah. So I could
do with a beer now.
What's that?
I could do with a beer now. Yeah. But it is a Thursday night, and I do have to go to work tomorrow.
Oh, for me, it's 2:30 in the afternoon. I don't drink. I drink on Fridays and Saturdays, and that's it.
Very wise.
Like Monday through Thursday is like, it's usually gym time and eating healthy time. No, actually, I'm trying to go again on Sunday, but it usually just never works out. So I will go ahead and shut the show down. Thank you very much, Ed, for coming on. I really appreciate it. I've been dying to talk to you, and I'm a complete fanboy right here. I've loved your videos for so long.
Oh, thank
Anybody
you.
watching?
Thanks for letting me ramble.
Oh, dude, I would love to just spend another hour and a half rambling because you get two Oldhammer biddies together, and that are really passionate, and we don't shut up. It's great. But for anybody who's curious, Ed's channel, his YouTube channel is down below in the chum box, as Hecklefish would say. But I am going to shut this down for the evening, day, whatever. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Ed, for coming on. There's two things here. I'll probably have the Ultramarines video out, tutorial, and another podcast here. Take a watch, and I'll talk to you guys next time.